Los Gatos, and they're having an open house. There's 2 days, Saturday, May 10th, and then Thursday, May 15th, and they are 1 to 3. Now I'm going to put the info into the chat for that, and that includes a phone number for them too. And I think that that might work out good for you guys that haven't seen Belmont Village yet, and what a wonderful place they have. Now, secondly, I've been working trying to get some speakers, as you know, and I'm working on the Parkinson's Foundation, and lo and behold, they have a fundraiser coming up here in San Jose, and I don't know, Julie, you want me to share the screen and I
Yeah,
can put that
here.
up? And
What's your name again?
Raul. And
Okay, there you go.
and it's done kind of like the Alzheimer's Association. They have a I guess it's a walk. It's going to be here at Lake Cunningham, 9 a.m. on where's the date? Saturday's May 17th. And I was thinking we might want to have an SRES group that they could do it too, but we need somebody to be able to lead that and hopefully, put the group together and go out and raise some money for them. It would well, obviously it'll help the community, but this might be a good publicity stunt for us then, when I don't know, Team SRAS comes out, with their players and, well, who's SRAS? And then you can launch into your elevator speech. So if anybody's interested, it'd probably be best to send me an email and I'll forward this to you.
I'll put it in the bulletin too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then that should work. And let's see, is that all I have?
What do you guys think about that idea?
This is place.
Hi, Jim. So it's at Lake Cunningham, which is here in San Jose. It's in East San Jose by Eastridge. It's a park.
Lake Cunningham is over by Allen Park.
No.
Not Alum Rock, no.
It looks like a wonderful event, which I would love to go, but our company shredding event is that day where all our clients are coming. So
Oh, fun.
unfortunately, I can't be two places at one time. Yeah,
Oh.
we're a shred truck and a taco truck all at the same time. So
Oh, I would be torn myself.
yeah.
Sure.
Anybody interested in stepping up and leading a team?
Where
Don't
is
everybody chime in at once here. No, we'll everybody can look at their calendars. Now, see, my first reservation is Lake Cunningham. Okay, so yeah, I mean it's right, and it's right there, Tully Road and Eastridge, and that's just where I live. So yeah.
And their goal's 125,000, as you see here. And they got 81 something already.
Oh, I was gonna say my first knee-jerk reservation is that's a lot of walking or something. That's a lot of walking.
They can do other stuff too. I mean, you can sponsor it, and us wheelchair bound people can still participate.
So, yeah, I'll sit down and review the details,
Okay.
but that would be fun. And we could do a lot of Oh, go ahead, Lynn.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, like, even if we can't participate, I'm sure, people would like to donate. So I could
Yeah,
send this out to our group. We have a Slack channel and, to help raise the money for it.
yeah.
And I personally am a walker. I try to do 10,000 steps a day. So this is like down my alley and I love things like that. But it's just that day I have another event. But it is, I mean, it's a great cause and you get out there in the sunshine and I've done things like this before. It's a lot of fun and you meet a lot of great people. So
Awesome.
And this is kind of like the Alzheimer's Association when they do their walk. I think it's modeled kind of after what they do.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
But
Okay, so I see Linda and Ryan are here. Yay! Hi. You can, you're on mute. Linda.
all
and-
right, I'm gonna stop
How are
sharing
you?
and
Hi. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, Ryan.
hello.
Nice to meet you guys. I'm really looking forward to your presentation today because not very many people know even what the word ombudsman means. So
You want to start
So-
recording?
I already did. So
Oh.
go ahead, Skip. You can do a little intro and then we'll get
Me?
started.
Well, I wasn't prepared, but the Ombudsman program here is run by Catholic Charities. They've done it for quite a while, and an ombudsman is basically an advocate. I'm sure they're going to tell you about that. They can advocate for patients and their families at different facilities. They're only found at skilled nursing facilities and assisted living facilities, and I don't want to take too much wind out of their sails, so I'm just going to turn it over to, I guess, Linda. Are you going to start or Ryan?
Yes, I'll be starting. Ryan's going to assist me with the PowerPoint that we will be presenting.
All right, Julie, you're sharing.
I'll be sharing and then
Oh, we need Julie to share the screen.
yes, he'll be sharing the screen.
There you go. And we'll hit Ryan here. Gotcha. All righty. I think
Getting dark.
no, I'm just there you
There we
go.
go.
See? CC Senor.
Cool.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Well, first I would like to say thank you for inviting us and also thank you, Skip, for reaching out to us regarding the program. I understand that most of you may be familiar with Wanda Hale. She was the previous Ombudsman program manager. She retired about 3 to 4 years back, and that's when I came aboard as the program manager. So what I'll do is I'll first share a little bit about myself, tell you how I got to be where I am. And so again, my name is Linda Dominguez. I am the program manager with Catholic Charities of Santa Clara County. And a little bit about my background. I actually I was from Santa Clara County. Then I went for a few years to San Joaquin County. And I was there for 15 years in children's mental health. I helped the physicians as the children came in. Some of them came in shackles, because they were either harm to themselves or harm to somebody else. And then, of course, we had younger kids who maybe had ADHD concerns, and so I worked a lot with the children. I was also part of the when the 9/11 hit. I was also part of the, we received all the incoming calls from people who, who were just trying to figure what was going on and where their loved ones were and, what kind of what is it that they can do to keep safe? And so I was part of that crisis line as well. Then they had a really big layoff way back in the 90s, and I was laid off from San Joaquin County. I then got a position as a social services in a facility, skilled nursing facility. And I worked for 4 years. I remember the very first day that I got hired, I walked into the skilled nursing facility and I seen a resident tied up with a towel tied around his waist, tying him down to the wheelchair. And I remember, that was my first view of a skilled nursing facility. And I remember I asked the administrator, I said, the resident's tied down. He's not supposed to be tied down. That's restraint. And he goes, no, 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 Linda, it's okay. It's okay because, he can hurt himself. And that's why we had to tie him down. And, in a skilled nursing facility, a lot of times, the staffing or it's very hard to speak up because you're afraid of retaliation. You're afraid that the administrator would either let you go. And so I actually did see a lot of things take place. I had to do a lot of unsafe discharges. Although I was not comfortable with them, I did speak up, but they kept telling me, no, Linda, you need to do this. And so I felt like I was forced to do it. So I had to do a lot of unsafe discharges. Also, not only the worst, but there are good things, in a skilled nursing facility. I had a resident who had really bad arthritis in his hands and in his body. And he would call me so I can write a letter to his brother. And so he would always, I'll just say his name is John, because I can't say his real name. And so John would always come to my office, Linda, I need you to help me write this letter. And I said, okay, I'll be right there. But I was so busy, so overwhelmed with the facility. And so he would come back to my office, Linda, you're gag-a-lagging, Linda, you're gag-a-lagging. And so I would rush over there and help him write the letter to his brother. I also was able to assist a resident who she was in a locked facility in the facility that I worked at. It was a kind of a split facility. And I noticed her, and so I began to kind of look into her background. I actually was able to work with the physician, and we were able to get her out of the locked facility and into more of an assistant environment. And I remember she was so happy, and her son was so happy as well. He would pick her up every weekend to take her out to the opera. And so that was she always talked about the opera. So, I had my view of the bad side of a facility, the negative side of the facility, and then also the positive side. There is a positive side of facility. It's not all bad, but, we have to know how to understand and how to see any kind of abuse in order for us to know, how to report it. So some of these items we're going to be discussing as we go along with the presentation. I actually was when I came into San Jose, and I received a position as a field ombudsman with Catholic Charities of Santa Clara County. I overseen quite a few different facilities, different sizes, assisted living, memory care, also small care homes, which are called RCFEs, residential care facilities, and they're also called 6 beds as well. And so I overseen those as well. And I overseen this position for, let me see, I almost forgot. For 10 years. And then my manager decided to retire, and I was asked to take the position. And so then I've been with as a program manager now for 3 years with Catholic Charities. So that's a little bit about who I am. I really can't see myself doing anything else. I think when I get ready to retire, I'll probably become a volunteer myself. Oh, one thing I did forget was when I was in the skilled nursing facility as social services, there was an ombudsman who came. He was a volunteer. It was him and his wife, and they would come once a week to the facility. They would make their rounds, but they always stopped by at my office, and they always asked me, "Is there anything that I can assist you with, or is there anything that you need help with?" And so little by little, I began to grow, a friendship with this couple, and they began to teach me more about updated regulations that were being passed by California Department of Public Health. And this, I want to share the importance of volunteering, is because it was this couple that made me fascinated about the ombudsman world. And so when I came to San Jose, that's the position that I was looking for, because I seen how much passion they had. I seen how they cared for the residents, and and how they assisted the residents, during any kind of altercation or any kind of abuse. And so it was through the volunteer program that actually caught my attention. And so I really, we have 5 volunteers right now within the program, and we have 5 staff that oversee Santa Clara County. But these volunteers, they come from different backgrounds. We've had a volunteer who was a physician. We have volunteers who are lawyers, different backgrounds. And but it amazes me of the passion that they have, being an ombudsman. When we had COVID back in 2020, that was, to me, was the perfect timing for a volunteer to say, you know what, I don't think this is for me. Usually our volunteers are retired already. And it was a very gray area when we had COVID. A lot of our senior residents were getting, very sick and passing away. And so, I would have understood if our volunteers would have told me, you know what, Linda, I think I'm going to have to back out right now. But, we did not lose not one volunteer. Just to let you know, that's how passionate they are about the program. And so I did want to, just kind of share, a highlight of these volunteers. And so, as you can see, there's a lot of passion as an ombudsman, that it's what drives us to do the work that we need to do. And we see how powerful the impact is from the passion that we have as being an ombudsman. Doesn't matter the status, whether you're a volunteer or whether you're staff. I'm excited that our program has passionate ombudsmen who go over and beyond their call of duty with their responsibilities. And so what we'll be doing, Ryan's going to be, we're going to go over a brief presentation. And then after the presentation, I will be happy to answer any questions. So we'll just go through the presentation first, okay? All right, let's begin.
Linda, you think you can define what an ombudsman is and where the name came from?
I will. That's going to be in my presentation, Skip.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, no problem. I completely understand. But thank you for asking. Good question. All righty, so we will start the presentation, Ryan. Okay, the definition of an ombudsman. So where does this term ombudsman even come from? It actually goes way back over 200 years ago in Sweden. The first ombudsman was a public officer whose job was to listen to people's complaints and help resolve them. The definition of the word ombudsman is advocate. In a long-term care, we carry that same passion forward. Today, an ombudsman is someone who a resident and their families can turn to when something doesn't feel right. Rather, it's a concern about care, communication, conditions. We are here to listen, investigate, and work towards a resolution. What makes our role so unique is that we're not just a middleman. We're empowered to gather information, ask the hard questions, and take initiative when something needs to be changed. At the end of the day, our focus is always the resident. We're the voice when they feel unheard, and they're a guide when they don't know where to turn to. So while the title might sound formal, at the heart, an ombudsman is someone who listens, speaks up, and supports efforts to bring about a difference. Our next slide is the Ombudsman program is a unique service. One of the things that makes the Ombudsman program truly unique is that it's what we call an unduplicated service in Santa Clara County. And what that means is there is no other program like it. We're the only program that has a 24/7 access to residents in long-term care facilities. By law, every licensed facility has to have an ombudsman poster contact visible for the residents and families to know how to reach us at any time. Our work is backed up by federal and state law, specifically through the Older American Act, which gives us the authority to advocate for residents' rights, investigate concerns, and support seniors and disabled adults in the care settings. This legal function is what makes our advocacy possible and trusted. The Reform Act background. What is an ombudsman? Back in the mid-'80s, there was a growing concern about how residents and nursing homes were being treated. So much so that Congress asked for a thorough investigation. What came out of the study was an eye-opener. Residents were facing neglect, abuse, and not receiving the care they deserved. This led to a major change in 1987 when the Nursing Home Reforms Act was passed. The heart of the law is real simple. It's about making sure every resident receives quality of care and is treated with dignity. It also laid the groundwork for residents' rights, established important standards for care. That's where the Ombudsman program fits in. We are here to help ensure these residents are held and that the residents we are here to help ensure that those rights are upheld and that the residents, along with their family members, have someone to turn to when they need support. The Residents' Bill of Rights. Now I'm going to walk you through something deeply and meaningful, and that is the Residents' Bill of Rights. But rather than just list them off, I like to read them the way a resident would read them. And it's not just a legal statement, they're personal. They reflect what every person living in a facility should be able to say out loud with confidence. So I'm going to go through the Bill of Rights, but I'm going to say, I have the right, as a resident would say it. The Residents' Bill of Rights. I have the right to freedom from abuse, mistreatment, and neglect. I have the right to freedom from physical restraints. I have the right to privacy. I have the right to accommodation of medication, of medical, physical, psychological, and social needs. I have the right to participate in a resident and family group gathering. I have the right to be treated with dignity. I have the right to exercise self-determination. I have the right to communicate freely I have the right to participate in the review of my care plan and to be fully informed in advance about any changes of my care, treatment, or changes in the facility. I have the right to voice grievance without discrimination. These are basic human rights, but in a long-term care setting, they can be easily overlooked. That's why the ombudsman role is so crucial. We make sure these rights are not just written down, but they are truly honored. The powers and functions of an ombudsman. One of the most important roles we play as ombudsman is protecting the rights of residents. That's really why this position exists in the first place. The reality is residents' rights are not always prioritized in care settings. Sometimes it's due to the lack of resources. Sometimes it's oversight. And sometimes it's just poor communication. And way too often, the concerns are brushed aside and never truly addressed. When a resident feels unheard or unseen, the ombudsman is their advocate. We step in, we ask questions, we bring concerns forward, and we make sure these voices do not get lost in the system. You can think of us as a steady presence, a trusted support for residents navigating space that can only often feel confusing and very intimidating. The role of the ombudsman. So what is an ombudsman? Actually, our day-to-day basis, the main function of the program is we investigate and help resolve complaints about the quality of care or suspect abuse in a long-term care setting. These complaints come from residents themselves or from the family members, or even from facility and staff concerns. They are also cross-reported reports as well. We have cross reports from the financial institutions regarding financial abuse, cross reports from hospitals regarding residents being neglected, being sent to the hospital with large stage wounds on them. And we also get cross reported from the police department and sheriff department. We also get cross reported from licensing, California Department of Public Health, and also from CCL, Community Care Licensing. Our mission is to protect and improve the quality of life for some of the most at-risk people in our community. We do this through investigation, mediation, and referrals to other services when needed. Everything we do is completely free to residents and their loved ones. We don't work alone. We partner with a whole network of other organizations. We partner with SALA, Senior Adult Legal Assistance. We partner again with police and sheriff departments, Adult Protective Services, the Department of Public Health, Community Care Licensing. We all work together to make sure residents are safe, respected, and supported. Why do people stay in a long-term care? People end up in a long-term care for a lot of different reasons. It's not always because they're sick or they're elderly. For skilled nursing facilities, we often refer to as a nursing home. A common scenario is that someone was hospitalized, and after treatment, their health didn't improve enough for them to safely return home. Maybe they need 24-hour care or medical attention that family members just aren't equipped to provide. Sometimes this challenge is social or logistical. A person may not have anyone at home to support them, or they don't have the kind of housing set up that would allow them to live safely on their own. In some cases, they literally have no home to return to. Now, on the other hand, we have residential care facilities for the elderly, which are RCFEs, and they're also called 6-beds. These are more common like home environments. They provide a middle ground. They're designed for people who don't need full nursing care, but do need support with things like medication, meals, and daily routines. These small homes are often more social connected, more comfortable, and a better quality of life for residents who just can't live independently anymore and do not need a hospital setting either. We also provide services for assisted living, memory care, and also independent as well. We have our residents who live in an independent facilities, and they will call us if there's any concerns that may need for us to assist them with. The next is going to be a mandated reporting video. It's called Your Legal Duty. And now that we've talked about the role of the Ombudsman and the type of care settings we support, I want to shift gears a bit and touch on something that's absolutely critical, and that is mandated reporting. Many of us, especially those who work in an at-risk population, are considered mandated reporters. That means we have a legal duty to report any suspicions of abuse and neglect. To help explain what this means and what our responsibility may look like, we're going to show a video titled Your Legal Duty. It gives clear and practical overview of a mandated reporter, including what to look for and how to take action if something doesn't seem right. So we'll go ahead and watch that video.
I'm not hearing an audio. Is anybody else?
It will turn on right now.
Okay, just checking. Thank you.
There's still no audio.
Yeah, we're not getting the audio part.
You might want to hit the share sound button.
That's
There
not
we
good.
go.
There we go.
You should report this. There should be an SOC 341. Every place I worked at has them. Here it is. Remember this?
Looks familiar. Remind me again.
SOC 341 is for mandated reporting. You know what mandated means? It means you must. You need to fill this out and report this. You have 24 hours. If there's a question in your mind about whether to report it, you need to report it. That's what my instructor said.
She could fire me. She's been here longer.
You're legally protected. In fact, you'll get in trouble if you don't report it. Let me ask you a question. Do you have a grandmother?
Yes.
If it were her, would you want this to go on?
No.
Welfare and Institution Code Section 1530 makes failure to report a crime. It could be a simple slap, punch, or even aggressive yelling. It also includes more serious crimes like rape, grand theft, and even manslaughter. But mandated reporting also includes offenses that you might not consider criminal. If a patient is being over-medicated so they can't wander around or be a bother, that is called chemical restraint. You are mandated to report that.
She was in post-acute care, which means she was in this facility to get better. She seemed to get less and less conscious every time we visited, which we did a lot. On January 1st, I went in there and she was completely unconscious. Her arm was hooked over the wheelchair's handle like this. And she had an completely uneaten lunch right in front of her, and she was just unconscious. And I tried to wake her, and I tried to wake her, and she could kind of look up at me a little bit, but I was so shocked that she was unrousable that I said, we have to call an ambulance. She has to go to an emergency room. And after what seemed like an eon, an ambulance was finally called, and the ambulance driver even told me her oxygen was turned way down below her prescription, which made no sense to me. And we, jumped in the ambulance and went to the emergency room. And my mom died 6 days later.
But you just don't chemically restrain somebody just to shut them up. Just arbitrarily go in there, give them an injection of something or a pill of something just to calm them down. That's not right. That's a form of abuse. That's a form of restraint, and that needs to be reported.
What must be reported is any type of abuse. It can be physical, it could be mental, it could be sexual, it could be neglect, it could be isolation. Anything that you know is wrong needs to be reported. Any crime that you imagine happening out on the street happens in a nursing home. And I know people don't want to believe that, but rape, murders, assaults.
We've seen staff use things like bed sheets, towels, gait belts used for physical therapy, turned backwards and used as a restraint to hold somebody into their chair. If somebody is locked in their room, they're not going to be able to get out in a fire. Staff is not going to know when they need medical assistance in the middle of the night. We're taking vulnerable people and putting them in an even worse situation. It's absolutely deplorable, it's unacceptable, and it's illegal.
The very first case I handled was a case where a staff member at a facility had reported that an unknown woman had visited a woman who doesn't get any visitors. Immediately showed up with a notary and with two friends and had this woman sign away her power of attorney. And it was all brought to light because of one nurse who did the right thing and called us. Said, something doesn't seem right here. She said, this woman doesn't even know her grandson's name, and yet she's receiving visitors that we've never seen before. And she's signing paperwork, but she has no business signing paperwork. And that's all we needed to be able to go in and try and see if there was something wrong.
Our office worked a case where an individual who was diagnosed with dementia was in a long-term care facility. And while changing and providing personal care, a CNA took video of him naked from the waist down and posted that video to social media. Another caregiver could be heard in the video asking if they were going to delete the video, so that the caregiver had knowledge that a video was taken and didn't stop it and did not report it. The post occurred strictly to humiliate and demean the individual. That's just an opportunity to laugh at them for being vulnerable.
A certified nursing assistant noticed that there were rats in the facility where he was working, and actually saw one of the rats in the bed of the patients. So anything unusual like that just in your heart stands out as something that isn't right, it's something that you really should report to the authorities.
If you are working in a long-term care facility, whether you're the administrator, the housekeeper, the janitor, the nurse, you are responsible for mandated reporting.
SOC 341 is the form that the state of California produces, and it's basically a fill in the blank. You put your name, you put where you work, and you put what happened that makes you think that there is something bad going on.
So reporting abuse is required by law. And when you fill out this form and you submit it to the proper authorities, that's your documentation that you reported it in a timely manner.
And the more information included on an SOC form, the better.
Neglect is another reportable crime. If you know that a patient is being neglected, has ulcers or sores that aren't being treated, if they are openly in pain and no one is helping them, or that they are very sick and not being taken to the hospital, all are reportable offenses.
Lovely, funny, kind, and always give. She occasionally would say, take some of my money, buy them some goodies, bring them some stuff because everyone's been so nice to me. But lo and behold, all this was going on and we had no clue.
The family visited frequently, very involved.
Somehow she got an infection on her heel. And we knew that, but we also knew that they were taking care of all of that, changing the wound and putting medication and all that stuff. No one
told us that was going on. Gangrene buildup, infection buildup, until the doctor, we called him and he's the one who said, no, this needs to be taken care of like a week ago. It was so bad that they insisted that the facility transfer their mom to the hospital. Her foot was gangrenous. They had to remove a portion of her foot. If they had told us, we would have been on top of it. You know, she's my mom. When the wound became gangrenous and odorous, that would have been a time to contact the doctor to look at, was hospitalization necessary?
Because no one reported this medical neglect, Karena's mom died.
You know, I had hope that she would wake up.
If the people that are there, that are the eyes and the ears for the patients, the workers, if they don't report it, we don't know the crimes occur. And a lot of times the victims either can't tell us or are too scared to tell us.
Pretend that that's your mom or your sister, your dad, your uncle. You see something going on, something is wrong. Just say something about it.
But I'm not her boss, and she has seniority.
It doesn't matter. She can be your supervisor or the president. You're protected.
I'm sure someone else will report her.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. How's it going?
Are you reporting something? She's talking about reporting her crazy neighbors to the police. Right. You need to get Mr. Andrews back in his room.
That was awkward. Thanks, Lila, nice save.
It's discovered you knew this was happening and didn't report it. You could be in trouble. Like criminally charged.
It's a new process.
It's your responsibility.
We don't have to sign protective. So it has to be.
So if you don't report, we will prosecute you. And it sounds really harsh, but it's our job and it's your job to report. It can be punishable up to 6 months in jail or $1,000 fine.
And in addition to that, if you do have any kind of medical license, you'll probably lose that.
However, if that failure to report results in a death, it can be up to a year in county jail, a $5,000 fine, or both.
One of the cases actually involved a CNA, a certified nurse assistant, who witnessed sexual abuse, who saw her friend, a coworker, actually touching a patient that was under both of their care. And rather than reporting it, she chose to stay silent. Another coworker actually ended up reporting it, and she mentioned that this person was a witness there. The person who did not report ended up getting charged with failure to report. She's no longer practicing as a certified nursing assistant, and she ended up getting criminally charged and convicted for that.
If someone fails to report, what happens is that whatever the abuse that is taking place is happening over and over again.
A gentleman started to act out sexually. He became very verbally making comments, a little handsy with people. They didn't do anything, they didn't report, didn't keep an eye on him. And less than a week later, he raped one of the other patients. And if they would have reported him the first time, if they would have taken action, that poor woman didn't have to be a victim of rape.
As a special agent for the state of California, don't be afraid of retaliation. We will be there to protect you.
So it can be really scary to report a coworker or sometimes even a supervisor or a resident, or to feel like something that you're saying is going to make your facility look bad, or that management might be upset with you.
We've had cases where administrators or nurses have told people under them, don't report anything. They can't do that. That does not absolve you of your requirement to report.
Sometimes being a mandated reporter means you have to be brave, because you might have to make a report that includes one of your colleagues, that may include your supervisor. And that's hard to do, but it's the right thing to do, and it's the law. So you can call it in
and give the information, and you don't have to give your name or your personal information, so you can stay anonymous.
If you wanted to put like a first name and a phone number, and you could make up that first name, it's okay. If you want to be Sally, that's fine. So I could call Sally and then get additional information regarding that incident that only Sally might know.
If you have any suspicion or you don't know if it is abuse, just report it.
We rely on your eyes and ears. You do not need to investigate it.
If you see something and you're not really sure what you saw is really abuse, but it didn't fit right with you.
It's better to be safe than sorry. It's not your duty to debate it within yourself or to debate it with another employee. If you see something, your responsibility is to report it.
My mom was so funny and brilliant and sharp. She had no dementia symptoms or memory issues or anything all the way to the end, until she got into that place, and she was a different person. Her personality changed. It was barely as if she could recognize us or dial our phone number. She even said, and I didn't know that this was, I thought it was paranoid. She called me one time and said she thought they were taking her call button away, and we thought, that's silly. They wouldn't take your call button away to ask for help. Clearly, she was overdrugged. I just wish somebody would have reported it. My mom was a nurse, and she spent her whole life taking care of people. And when she needed a nurse to take care of her, they didn't.
Against you?
I'm gonna fill it out now.
Good girl. Your grandma would be proud. I'll keep an eye on things. We can fill it out together. If you have a question, I might be able to answer it for you.
That would be great.
Pretend it's your mother. There are night shift people, day shift people, nurses, assistants. They're all in there all the time. They know what's going on. Share anything that you see. Show concern. You know, you feel like a janitor sometimes, you feel like a babysitter, but it's a sacred position. The families are trusting you. They need you to report, even if it feels risky to you. Tienes que reportar.
If you have any doubt whether you should report, report.
Es urgente que usted reporte. If you see something, please report it. You must report. Report. You must report. Report. You must report.
Report.
Report. Report. Please report. You could save a life.
Report. It's the law.
So as you know, viewing the video, as I was sharing with you earlier, a little bit about my background and this facility that I worked for and the things that I seen in this facility. You know, it wasn't until this volunteer ombudsman came and spoke to me, began to tell me about the residents' rights and more of the regulations. I then became an anonymous reporter. And I continue on reporting this facility. It got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. And then I ended up quitting and moving to Santa Clara because it was just, this facility was so bad. But I reported them, you know, constantly, and it just, for whatever reason, the facility just wasn't changing. I don't know if that facility is still open. I never looked back, but that is why I then searched to become an ombudsman when I came to Santa Clara County. So we're going to next review the program search and core services as well. We'll go to the next screen. So now that you've got a sense of what we do and why it matters, I want to give you a quick look at our research and the ways we serve the community here in Santa Clara County. We currently have over 13,000 beds across the county. And this includes 52 skilled nursing facilities, 320 plus smaller RCFEs, which are the smaller care homes. Our team is responsible for investigating complaints, making routine general visits, to check on residents. We also witness advanced healthcare directives. And we also offer preventive abuse preventive training to the facility and to the staff. And that is actually that's one mission that I work very hard in making sure that my staff does the abuse trainings, because it was through this that I was able to, you know, get strong enough to speak up for the residents. And a lot of times, you know, staffing, you get intimidated, you know, you have the administrator and, you know, all the other head departments, you know, looking at you and, you know, forcing, you know, social services plays a big role in the facility. They are part of the admin, they're part of the discharging, they're part of all the care conferences, so they play a big role. And so, you know, no matter what role you play in a facility, or in any place where you work, you know, we cannot get intimidated to speak for our residents. You know, if we don't speak up for them, who's going to speak up for them? And, you know, and I always, you know, now that I am, you know, with the program, you know, I always think about, you know, that I hope that when the time comes for me and I'm no longer able to make my cares need known, I hope that there's an ombudsman who is able to speak for me when I'm no longer able to speak for myself. And so the services that we work with are the advanced healthcare directives. We also receive INA calls, which are information and assist calls from the community, from family members, from residents, even from staff. They reach out to us, anonymous at times, and, you know, saying, hey, this is going on, you know, can you come and take a look? We also support the community through different community educational services. We set up booths. We have our flyers that we hand out. We speak to people about the program and let them know the information about the program and how they may want to get, if they want to get involved as a volunteer, we also have that information as well. Our next slide is the Ombudsman poster. So when you walk into a skilled nursing facility, you will see the poster that's green. This is long-term care. That poster is usually posted in a skilled nursing facility, in assisted living and memory care facilities. It has our phone number, and also it has the 800 crisis line. The 800 crisis line is the after hours number to the state ombudsman office. And then they cross report to us, and then we take it from there. The poster on your right side, the yellow poster, that is the Let Us Know poster. That is usually based in the RCFEs, the skilled 6 beds. Some of the assisted living, it just depends on their license. Some of the assisted livings are licensed under an RCFE, and so they'll have this kind of poster. Or if they're not licensed and they're licensed with the state, then they will be using the green posters. So you may see these posters when you walk around the facilities. These posters are, they're not just posters. They are a lifeline for residents who might not know where to turn. And they're a lifeline for visitors who may not know who to report to if they see something that just doesn't feel right. So if you ever see these posters, you're more than welcome to give us a call if you feel that something's not going correct. You don't need to have all the evidence, just a speculation, and give us a call, and then we will take it from there. Next is it's called a robotic companion. And I want to share something a little bit different. This was a special project for the Ombudsman that took place a few years ago. Through the grant that we received, the program was able to participate in what was called the Robotic Pet Campaign. And this was for residents who live in a long-term care setting. The idea was simple but powerful. The budget allowed us to purchase robotic pets for residents, especially those who didn't have any families or visitors, those who were socially withdrawn or may struggle with combative behavior and needed something more comfortable and more tangible to engage with. These pets were not just toys. For many residents, they brought joy, comfort, and even a sense of connection. It gave them something to hold, to talk to, and to care for. And as Ombudsman, we had the privilege of delivering these pets to the skilled nursing facilities and some to the RCFEs. It was an emotional and incredible, rewarding experience. The next slide is the unified approach to resident care. And this is where real estate meets resident advocacy. I call it the ROR. Real estate plus Ombudsman equal residents. So before I wrap this up, I want to speak to you directly as professionals in real estate. There are many times when residents in skilled nursing facilities or their families feel it's time to sell their home and begin a transitioning into a new living situation. That's where your work becomes deeply connected with our work. These transitions can be emotional and sometimes complicated for residents in a skilled nursing facility. These transitions also, if you find yourself in a situation where a resident may be preparing to sell or preparing to transition out of their home, and you are called to maybe sign paperwork with the resident, we would encourage you to partner with us. And we will come and just make sure that the resident is coherent, the resident is capable of making these important decisions. And also, we also check to make sure the resident is not being coerced. And I also, hate to say that at times, family members are pressuring our residents to sell their home. And so we come in and make sure that our residents have full understanding of what they're signing and full understanding of what's taking place. We value the roles we as a team make together. So my ending of this presentation is let's make a difference together. As you can see, this need is great. But when we collaborate, we really do have the power to make a meaningful difference. And I want to thank you for inviting us to your meeting so that we can share about the program. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Linda, I've got both a question and a statement. First of all, the statement, you guys know that you have to review a lot of these care communities and know what they are and so forth. We were actually talking about that before the session began. And besides doing tours and doing all your research, one of the things that you might want to do is call the ombudsman that is overseeing that particular community and talk to them about their experience with the community. You're going to get information that you're not going to be able to find online or in a tour anywhere else. So that might be a helpful hint for you. So the question is that, all right, Catholic Charities oversees the Ombudsman program in our county. What about in other parts of the country? And also, where does the funding come from those in other parts of the country?
Well, different ombudsmen have we're under the umbrella of Catholic Charities. So for us, we receive grants through the federal and state, and through which filters through SourceWise, and we receive funding through them. We also receive funding from the cities that within Santa Clara County. The cities also fund us as well. And regarding the other cities outside of Santa Clara County, they also get funding from different resources. But a lot of them are, they also get funding from the state and federal as well. A lot of them don't get a lot of funding from the cities, but they are now trying to bring the cities, getting the cities more involved. And so right now, we gathered together with Northern and Southern California. Outside of that, I'm not sure how the regulations is for them. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions?
Quick question that this is in Santa Clara County is under Catholic Charities. Is there another organization doing that, or you guys are the only one taking care of the entire county for this specific purpose?
That's correct. We are the only Catholic Charities is the only one, the only ombudsman in Santa Clara County.
So other location may or may not have that. I guess you and Skip just talk about that it depends. So
They do not, yeah, they do not. It's just within Santa Clara County, it's Catholic Charities.
If you're out of the area, it might be useful to Google Ombudsman for your particular location and see what comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question. So you listed the area nursing homes and the area RCFEs, other board and care homes. What about the, say, for example, the luxury senior living communities, the high-end luxury senior living communities?
They have to be licensed under the California Department of Public Health. We go to only the facilities that are licensed under California Department of Public Health. There are some unlicensed RCFEs, a smaller residential care. And I work with CCL, Community Care Licensing. I join with them when either there's a death that took place, or there's, other concerns that may have taken place, but they're unlicensed. But I do join with them even though they're not licensed.
So the senior living communities, when they open, do they have to be licensed by the Department of Public Health?
I'm not sure if they have to. It's just, we are just given the list from licensing which facilities are like. Any new facilities, there's a lot of new facilities being built, especially the larger independent ones.
Right.
And if they're not licensed, then we don't go there. A lot of times they have contracts that they sign, and sometimes that they some of our larger RCFAs that are licensed independent, they will call us, and we would have to encourage them to read the contract, because a lot of times these larger RCFBs, one of the concerns is that family members sometimes have a difficulty when their mom or their dad is declining, and they have to go from independent to assisted living, and then from assisted living maybe even to memory care. That's part of their contract. It states that in their contract. But we come in because a lot of times these large RCFEs right away want to move the resident from this independent straight to memory care. And, it's a culture shock, first of all, for our residents. And so, although our resident may have dementia, got diagnosed with dementia, we try to make an easier transitioning. So, you know, we will either sometimes we encourage them all, why don't we have them maybe attend a lunch or a dinner over there? And we want to make a smooth transition. It's the transition has to happen, but we come in and say, let's try to make a smoother transition. We've also, you know, received cross reports from the financial institutions because of these large RCFEs. You know, sometimes they have family members who, you know, either go into their bank accounts and, you know, take money from them. And so we actually, you know, years back, I received, when I was a field ombudsman, I received an abuse report from the bank and stated that there was a person taking large amounts of sums of money almost every day. So I went and spoke to the resident, and you know, she was independent. So I went into her unit, and you know, we began to talk. And you know, I was just telling her, I'm just concerned, you know, is there somebody in your family that you know of that might be, you know, going in and into the bank, or maybe you give them permission for them to go into the bank? You know, the bank's a little concerned. And I remember she told me yes. She goes, I have my son. She says, but you know, I know that my son's a drug addict. And I know he's going into the bank to take the money to support his habit. I understand that. She goes, but I was a bad mom when he was little. And you see, he was mainly abusing her because of her past and making her feel guilty of what happened while she was raising him. And he was just draining her money. And, you know, I told her, well, you know, the thing is, I don't want you to outlive your money. I don't want you not to be accustomed to to the environment that you're used to living in. And this was one of the very expensive large RCFEs. But she says, no, let him take the money. And, you know, I ended up cross-reporting to Sala, and together we worked, and, you know, we had to protect this woman and protect her finances. And it ended up being that we were able to get her conserved. And so that way, you know, he could no longer, she had access to her money, but he could no longer go in there and you know, take the money as he wants to. And so we do come in and support them as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Micklin
Micklin, you have a
has a-
question?
Yeah, question, I guess, a combination of both. We had somebody from APS that spoke towards the abuse, especially financial, and that appears to be mostly on the side of relatives. I just had one just today that after my contract ran out, I was a friend as well as the real estate person. Contract ran out because I felt that I was going nowhere with her or the so-called power attorney, which was her kids, because the grandson was living in the property that she wanted to sell. Now, since that time, she's been paying the mortgage, paying where she is, literally running out of money, and was going to get some kind of a loan so she could continue staying there, continue paying the bills. So after my conversation with her yesterday, because I was feeling so convicted that I just pulled away because I couldn't stand to see this anymore. So she said it's gotten a little better because I just let her talk, and she said she did go forward in terms of letting the kids, her adult children, do the eviction as her POA. But she said they haven't done anything. They said, if you want this house, you want to take care of it, you have to do this for me because I cannot. But they haven't done anything. So the granddaughter was supposed to be meeting with her yesterday. So I did mention it to the lady from, I forgot her name now. I was looking for it. Julie, you remember her from about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And she said, yes, I should report it. It's in the properties in Santa Clara County, but she is in a facility that it's just okay. She doesn't really want to be there, but it was because they put it there because it was convenient for the daughter. And it is a form of financial abuse. Out of
Mhm.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt by saying they're just ignorant and they don't see them as putting their hands on her. They're just allowing her money to dwindle away when she says, I need to sell it because it's all I have. And at first they were bucking her and said, oh, you don't need to sell it. You can move back. Well, the probability of her moving back is very nil. And on top of that, the grandson who was living there for free, uh, uh, he could go back home. He wasn't paying any rent for the last 5 years. And on top of that, he took in a homeless girlfriend who's now running the show, as I found out that yesterday. So the boy can go back to live with his parents. He's 24 years old, has some issues himself, but they will not allow the girl to come. And she's running literally the show now. She manipulates this young man so badly that he can't even think for himself. So I want to report it, and I've just let it sit for a month, hoping and praying that it would get better. But unless somebody steps up, and it might have to be me, and I would do it anonymously because I don't like getting into family drama. And since I've been working with her to try to sell it since September of last year, so that, like I say, the contract has run out. So I don't have any legal obligation, but I think I have a moral obligation.
Mhm.
So I think she would probably, I don't know, even if I do it anonymously, if somebody shows up at her facility and says, because she doesn't really want to do it because she knows that's the only way she's going to get them out to do the formal proceeding for an eviction.
So thank you very much for that question. Go ahead, Linda.
And I think I just wanted to reply. I think a lot of times sometimes what holds back a reporter from reporting is, you're trying to think of all the sides of everybody. And a lot of times we just ask you, just give us a call, make a report. Like I said, you can state that you want to be anonymous. We do ask that you leave your number of contacts so we can call you, not that we're going to give it out or anything like that. But that way, if we need more information, we can call you. Because, sometimes, and I know it's kind of hard to hear, but sometimes in these large RCFEs, these independents, residents have the choice to make a wrong choice. That's their right, they have the right to make a wrong choice. But we as Ombudsman, we come in and we try to let them see the whole picture. As when I went to speak with this resident, I was concerned, and then the reason why I contacted Sala was because she told me that her son was a drug addict. So that's an abuse right there. So I right away, had that reported as well to get support. But our independent residents, they have the right to make a bad choice. That is true. But we as Ombudsman, we come in and we try to paint the full picture of what's happening. So that way they have an understanding. And hopefully sometimes they make changes for the better, sometimes they don't, but those are their rights.
But in her case,
So,
and this is what,
Michelin, I'm going to interrupt you here because we're a little bit over time here.
oh,
And
okay, sorry.
that's okay. Sorry, Michelin. There's just so many questions now, and we learned so much, and I really appreciate that. I'm sure there's a lot that we learned that we didn't know before we started this meeting that we're super appreciative of. If anybody has any last thoughts or anything?
Well, my question, just to finalize it, can I still call you the Ombudsman, even though she is in Alameda County and you are from Santa Clara County?
Right, you would have to contact Alameda County.
Oh, okay.
Good to know. Good to know. Yeah. And I'm sure there's the equivalent of what Catholic Charities does for the Santa Clara County. I'm sure the County of Alameda has an equivalent. Well, in fact, we'll look into that because we should have all that information gathered up for all of us. I want to thank Linda again and Brian for being here today. Again, we really appreciate it. There's so much that we learned and can utilize for when we work with our senior homeowners and the families of senior homeowners. And also when we work with the senior living communities, because I'm glad you did tie that all together for us as senior real estate specialists. I'm not sure, not everybody knows that who we are or what we do as senior real estate specialists. We are very specific, and that spoke to us directly. So I really appreciate that. So thank you again, everybody. Have a great week.
And one more thing, don't forget.
Oh yeah, go ahead,
week-
Skip.
Next week is Second Harvest Food Bank. You might want to chime in with them because they're being under the threat of the government problems now, and there might be a little drama there. But you should find out what they do and how it can help your clients. And also, don't forget, we need somebody to step forward for the Parkinson's fundraiser to maybe have a team Julie or team SRES. So we're welcoming anybody that might want to do that. So contact either Julie or me.
And I'll have that information in the bulletin as well. Roni, did you have a question? Are you good?
Actually, it's more of a comment, but I know it's late in the day, so I was just gonna let it go. I don't know if you wanted to hear it. It's well, you know what? Since you asked, I'll say it. So that particular issue is an issue that I'm very well aware of. But in New York, I have dealt with it differently, especially when we're dealing with abuse and neglect. I have dealt with it through HIPAA. Okay. Usually, we're dealing in a situation where you have a patient in a room who somehow gets dropped, or has some unknown bruises, some nefarious activities that took place. What a lot of people don't know is that it's actually against the law to falsify medical records. A lot of time, what the nurse or the nurses said, whatever it is, what they will do is they will never actually reveal how the person got hurt. Medicare and Medicaid actually have a particular office investigators whose function is to do that. So what I would do with my clients is I would go to them and I would ask them to investigate. And lo and behold, the truth will come out. What usually happens is that then there is a fight within the facility and the employee. They will always let the employee go because if the facility doesn't, they will lose their ability to collect funds in the Medicare and Medicaid. So a HIPAA is actually a very, very powerful way to investigate, but you do it outside of the facility. That is basically how I have done that. And it usually works for me. I've done that for the past 10 years, at least on 5 different occasions, and it works. And like that, the family, especially if anyone has any particular questions, why does my mother have a bruise? How, why? Last time I saw her, she was fine. Now she has a fractured hip. What happened? And that's usually how you find out about it. And it's usually very heartbreaking, but there is a method to find out if they keep complaining to the institution and no one's doing any work, because you can go outside of it.
And and I'm glad you brought that up. That's why it's so important that our program goes and teach about abuse and how to, just like that video, it teaches what is abuse and how to file, how to file as well. Because yes, it's correct. We at times do not get a report regarding a resident, or we may get a report. It could be something they kind of like make it so lightly, the incident, like they said, a case that I investigated, they said it was a resident-to-resident altercation and the resident got slightly scratched. Well, I went to investigate and his whole face was just black and blue, one whole side. And I told social services, that's not a scratch. I said, that's not a scratch. I go, your report is not correct. Because her report, just to all SOCs are forwarded to licensing, law enforcement, and the Ombudsman program.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop us there. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. We're on a hard stop for our next meeting.
Oh,
And
no problem.
I really do appreciate all this information. And well, actually, we should have you back again as things develop. So, so thank you so much. Everybody have a great week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.